Do you want to watch more awesome videos? We know you do. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, turn on that notification bell so that you're notified every time we post new videos here at Underground Interviews.
Hey, what's up there, disc golfers? Well, I'm here in the middle of another one of our many snowstorms in the Midwest, so if we're experiencing a little lag or delay, just bear with us through the video. Should be pretty awesome. We have a very special guest this time. Why don't you go ahead and introduce him, Wes?
Yeah, we got Andrew Fish, who is a name that I honestly wasn't too familiar with until the end of last year, and then you just kind of started showing up everywhere.
Well, that's where the tour comes to my side of the country. So
that's very true. That's very true.
All right, well, make sure you guys stay tuned to the video. We're going to have an awesome giveaway in the middle of that, so check that out. And while we still have time, I'm going to just get right into the questions here. We know you came from a little bit of an Ultimate background. How did you go from playing Ultimate to playing disc golf?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the question that a lot of people really want to know. I know a lot of folks who play Ultimate and then their careers end, so they get into disc golf or something else. For me, I was at Georgia Tech. I played 5 years of Ultimate. I was in the middle of my master's degree, had another year to go. And I just happened on the disc golf club in the rec center. They had a table out. They were talking about what they did. And I asked them if I could come play with them. So that Saturday I did. And like less than a month later, I played at the Southeast Collegiate Open. Like didn't have a PDGA number. I think I owned like 3 discs. And one of them was this just beat to hell DX Shark that like I had found somewhere, and somebody had drawn like laser beams coming out of the shark's eyes. You know, sharks with friggin' laser beams. It was just like the jankiest thing possible. And I never thought I would get like way into disc golf. It was just kind of something to do. So I was in Atlanta at the time, and Perkerson Park was my home course. And it was still kind of under development. Like tee pads were carpet, basket positions were like 1 per hole.
Oh, wow.
And basically I ended up spending the rest of my grad school experience going to class and then going out and working on the course and playing like 3-4 hours a day. It was like what I would do if I was a touring player, just do nothing else but play. And then it took me almost a year to get hired by Baltimore County in Maryland, which is where I am now. And I just worked on the course, you know, installing steps, other erosion control structures, new pin positions. I've cleared so much privet. And like, even at that point, disc golf was still just like fun thing to do. But like, fast forward a little bit, I played at the Collegiate Disc Golf Championships, and I think I finished like, I don't know if it was top 10 or top 15. I finished pretty good, and within a year I was rated 1,000.
Wow.
And like, I legitimately don't know how that happens. Like I didn't feel like 1,000 rated player. I was just this guy who just went out and played. So
a natural athlete.
Yeah, I guess. Go figure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we've kind of heard similar stories from other people. Is the underlying theme that disc golf is really a very addicting game. So you get your first taste, even if you got a shark with laser beams coming out of its eyes that probably wants to be a roller every time you throw it.
Oh no, man, that's a hyzer flip machine.
Yeah. That might explain your game a little better.
Yeah, for sure. I really resisted for a long time using overstable discs because like they didn't act the way I knew an Ultimate disc to. Like,
sure.
The difference between Ultimate players and disc golfers is, Ultimate players are reacting in the moment. They only have a few seconds to make a shot. So for me, it's more comfortable to play faster, but also like, there's one very specific disc that's used for all applications. Like you need to be able to throw it far, but also like slow and floaty with a lot of touch. And that I think lends itself to being able to put a lot of good spin and control on a disc.
Mm-hmm.
So I still use things like flippy putters, flippy mid ranges, but I've been playing a little over 6 years now. Yeah. And it still doesn't always feel comfortable for me to throw, a big overstable driver on a flex line. That's not what I started with, but like, you give me a nice little woods tunnel, I'm going to hit it.
Yeah.
It's a matter of like where you start and what your background is and what you feel comfortable with.
I think that's been part of the interest too with that a lot of people have had watching you play, is that you really have a very unique play style versus, maybe some of the bigger arms that are taking more overstable stuff and forcing it over with their arm speed versus letting the disc kind of do the work a little bit.
Yeah, there's not one right way to do it. Like, that's the great thing about disc golf. There's a speed for everybody, casual, competitive, but also like a million different ways that people get stuff to work. It's about like learning your strengths and then playing to them. Like, there's no way that I'm going to go out and learn to jack a 500-foot forehand tomorrow. So like, if I get to a hole that demands that, I need to figure out how to work my shots into that.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll jump on to our next question. We know that you mainly or pretty much exclusively tour over on the East Coast. What sort of day job are you working that is keeping you from some of these kind of West Coast or maybe more Midwest tournaments with some good woodsy courses?
Yeah. So like I said, I was at Georgia Tech. I have 2 degrees in engineering, and that means student loans. So there's part of the reason why I'm not out on tour. But also I have a really good job with Baltimore County, Maryland. I work in the Environmental Protection and Sustainability Department. We are really close to the Chesapeake Bay, and Baltimore is a pretty sizable metro area.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done in terms of infrastructure. Most of my projects are dealing with stormwater and erosion control, trying to deal with runoff, because let me dive away from disc golf for a second. We all reap the benefits of cities and roads and rooftops and all that. Like, it's important to have those. But I think people don't think about the downstream effects of that civilization. Like, it has a price. And that price generally ends up getting passed on to whatever's downstream, and at the cost of the environment. So what's traditionally been done is developers will be required to install stormwater facilities or erosion control practices. Over time, those require maintenance. They fail, just like any system will. And we've also kind of, we pride ourselves on being able to expand, and it's an economic thing. Now it's kind of time to pay the piper. We've got almost 400 years of development in this country that requires us stepping back, assessing what our impacts have been, and then trying to mitigate those. So that it's really a passion of mine. It's something that I see on a micro scale at disc golf courses, where we'll just put a basket in a wetland, or we'll put paths in between tee pads that don't have any grade controls on them, and they turn into muddy torrents every time it rains.
Yeah.
So if you think of, I'm sure everybody's seen that on the disc golf course. On a much larger scale, that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about in the Baltimore area. So I work on mostly stormwater ponds, but also some shoreline restoration jobs. I work with folks who do stream restorations, tree plantings, trash pickups, and monitoring of biological and chemical indicators.
Nice.
It's really fun, but like, to bring it back to disc golf, I only get a couple weeks of vacation a year, so it's important that I use those as best I can. I can't go take the long swing and go out to Vegas or the Memorial and spend 2 weeks doing that. I need to stay closer to home, and usually that turns into taking off, a Thursday, Friday here and there, so that I can get to the NTs or the A tiers that are on this half of the country.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So out of all of the stuff, I know you say you work a ton. What's your favorite parts of the East Coast golf that keeps you there as well? I mean, you could probably travel a little bit further if you wanted to, but I'm sure there's tournaments that you are like, I'm going to go to this one this year because it was awesome last year.
Yeah. I think at this point I've gotten 5 years in, so I'm getting a little extra vacation time. This year I'm actually going to go to Beaver State Fling.
Nice.
Because I've heard such a good reputation about Milo. And I actually worked in the Pacific Northwest for parts of 3 years when I was in college and then just after. So planning on going out there, spend some time, seeing some old friends. But as far as the East Coast, I really like that there's a great variety of types of woods. You go down into North Carolina and it's really straight vertical pines. You get into somewhere in Pennsylvania and you can have some really rugged, rocky terrain that has like lots of hills. Virginia has the Shenandoahs, and some of the foothills of those are just about as good as disc golf terrain gets. For example, Hawk Hollow is John Biscoe's private course on a cattle farm in Virginia. I'll be down there in a couple weeks for the Virginia Team Invitational. And I think he said he had to cut like one tree on the property to make 27 holes.
Oh my God.
And it's incredible. Like there's par 3s, 4s, and 5s. There's legit landing zones. There's, woods. There's open. There's a mix of them. It's got everything. So, this is where I ended up landing. But I'm really fortunate for, the style of play that I like and for my interests that I ended up here. Because I've played pretty much all up and down the East Coast, and it's been spotty in, I'll go on a trip and I'll just bring a couple discs and play. Not to impugn what other parts of the country have, because you can't help the terrain and the trees and whatever landscape you live in. But I just really like that within, 4 to 6 hours of me, I can have all different types of woods and all different types of terrain. And, it's all fun to me.
Nice.
Okay. Well, it's that time for a giveaway. So we have a Z-Flex Ringer GT. So we've had a few Z-Flex discs that we've given away this winter. So this is going to be another nice winter style plastic. Have you ever thrown these, Wes?
Yeah, I used to bag one of those for a little while. You throw those, Andrew?
No, not at all. I stick to zones, roaches, and challengers for putters.
See, the Z-Flex was a little more stable to me than what the other ones were. So
right.
This is going to be almost like a mini zone for you. So why don't you comment down below? Let me know what your toughest woods hole is that you have ever played. The hardest one, feel free to show out. Let me know what course it is. Let me know what hole it is. If you want to drop us a picture on the Underground Interviews page, go ahead and do that too, so you can kind of show that off. So we'll make that even a little bit better for you. And we'll go through and we're going to pick out a winner and we'll get that sent to you. So let's continue on, Wes.
Yeah. So we saw you have some really incredible finishes throughout 2018, including 8 wins, and you have 37 wins in just 109 tournaments, which is really impressive. I don't know what the stats are, but you got to be up there for win percentage, including a nice 16th place finish at Worlds. So what are some things that you really feel set you apart from your average player that have allowed you to achieve such success?
Oh, well, I'm going to start by downplaying like 37 wins because it honestly is a little easier when I'm playing C tiers and B tiers around here. Like it's super hard to pick up wins if all you play are, if you're following the tour, because
Sure.
every weekend, is going to be a dogfight. There's some really good competition around here. I know that there's folks who are going to bring it, but, what I kind of hang my hat on is like I've won 7 A tiers in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Over time, I feel like I've gotten way more comfortable in this region because, I end up going back to the same courses over and over again. My practice rounds start to make sense. I'm not feeling like I'm just relearning the course every time I go. But also, I feel like I'm really good at adapting to conditions. There was a point last year when, it just popped in my head like, man, I've been playing really well every time it rains or snows. So I added it up, and I think my rating in terrible conditions was like 15 points higher than my overall rating, which go figure.
Yeah.
I think part of that is like knowing what my game is and then, adapting from the practice rounds and not making it super complicated, not getting hung up on score. Like when it rains, my number one task is keep my hand and my disc dry. So naturally I play pretty fast, but it just accelerates even more. Like, I know what I'm going to throw when I leave my bag, and I'm not stopping until I've released the disc. There's no lining up. There's no like checking the wind again. It's just, it's trust what I've already made the read and the decision to do, and do it. Okay. Yeah, that's just something that works for me. And, you know, around here, like, I want to hold down my home turf. It's like that's what I've got. I can't be on tour, so I'm going to do the best I can here.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. So a little bit away from playing. So you're actually going to be TDing an event called the Women's Open of Maryland edition number 3, and that's going to be in August. So can you tell us a little bit about that event? Yeah,
so it's at Seneca Creek State Park, and edition number 3 kind of tells you what it is. This is the 3rd year that Allie Stone from Northern Virginia and I have run this B tier. We've gotten about 50 players the last couple years, and had almost that many volunteers. Like this region has really kind of come together. We're part of the Virginia Women's Series, and that was something that's been cited as a reason that Spotsylvania, Virginia was given the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championships this year. Nice. So we're maybe an hour and a half away from that. We're trying to attract some touring pros. We've gotten film the last couple years. And it's a pretty solid event on a really, really fun course, Seneca Creek State Park. So it's August 4th this year. We've kind of jumped around just to try to match like what made sense for the rest of the region. And for me, I'm really proud of having done this, but I'm also really excited for what the future holds. We've gotten 50 players, and I think 2 years ago there were like 7 total women registered as PDGA members in the state of Maryland.
Oh well.
You know, obviously we're drawing from some other places, but it feels like a really good opportunity to give women the freedom to come play in an environment that, you know, feels safe and feels welcoming. Yeah. And you know, the entire tournament experience is kind of designed around that, from, you know, groupings to layout to players packs. I think it's really important that we think about the underrepresented demographics, whether it's people of color or women or youth or seniors, and give them an opportunity to compete in an environment that makes sense for their ability, and just meeting them where they are, like in terms of their comfort within the sport and within the community.
Okay, and we'll get some information for that tournament in the link below in the description, so that you guys can check all that out. And why don't you guys give us a like for women's disc golf? I've been a big supporter of it here in the Quad Cities area. The local Dolls League, I've donated quite a bit of Discraft plastic to them over the past few years, so make sure you guys give it a like down in the description so you guys can check it out.
Yeah, we'll have signups in a couple weeks, and like I said, it's August 4th, so we're looking for sponsors and players. Come on out.
Awesome.
We have I think we have a Midwest women's tour as well that kind of goes around the Midwest, and kind of encumbers a lot, or takes on a lot of those things that you're saying, kind of meeting the players where they are, and really having women's events that cater to women's needs. And it seems to go really well. I know a lot of the women that regularly play those tournaments really love it, so I think it's a great move, and we definitely applaud your effort and your time commitment to better that. So our last question, let's talk about 2019. I think you've got maybe one tournament under your belt already where you defended a title over there. You mentioned Beaver State Fling. Are we going to mainly see you kind of on the East Coast swing again?
Yeah, almost certainly it's going to be mostly East Coast. Beaver State Fling is probably my big trip for the year.
Nice.
I know there's probably 6 or 7 A tiers that I'm looking at on this side of the country. For NTs, obviously I'll be at Delaware Disc Golf Challenge. That's like an hour and a half from my house, so easy to get to. I'm not sure about Worlds and Great Lakes Open. Those are, you know, there's some time commitment associated with getting to those and learning the courses, and you know, it's only one round a day. I think I'm going to be able to get to Maple Hill for the MVP Open. I haven't been there since 2015, so it would be great to get back. And then I want to get up to Green Mountain Championships. I really liked the Smuggler's Notch Complex this year, or last year, excuse me.
I know that's a pair of courses that seems like all the pros love. Really beautiful property there, really amazing, challenging courses that the pros really seem to love. So it seems like that's a really good one to hit.
Yeah, they've done it right. It's got a really well thought out balance of courses, and the tournament experience at Worlds was fantastic too.
Nice.
All right, well, is it that time, Wes, for the always fun and fantastic rapid fire questions?
Rapid fires!
All right.
So if you've watched our interviews, we got 10 rapid fire questions that we're gonna roll right on through. I tried to give these a little bit of a theme since you're on the East Coast, but we got a couple fun ones in there. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hit it.
All right. First one, crab or lobster?
Oh, I think it's got to be crab. The experience of like sitting at a table and just picking all day is great.
Forehand flex or backhand turnover?
Backhand turnover. Have you watched me?
You have an amazing forehand as well. I figured.
I do not. I do not. I have a garbage forehand. I almost quit disc golf today because of it.
Oh boy. Favorite Discraft disc right now?
Right now, Comet. It's almost always the Comet.
Number of wins you see yourself getting in 2019?
Looking at 20 tournaments, I'll say 8. Let's go 8.
Another 8. Be a good year. One disc golfer that you really look up to?
I'm not giving you one. I'm going to give you as many as I can think of right now. I really hate getting beat by Kevin McCoy. Because like when I was coming up, it seemed like every time I would get close, he or Matt Dollar would just like manufacture a win. Just hitting big putts down the stretch, like not being intimidated by trailing by 3 with 3 to go or something. And both of them taught me to just like keep grinding, like never give up and just fight through it. I really like watching Haley King. The first time that it occurred to me like how cool her throws were was US Women's. I think I had seen her throw before that, but it was like, holy cow, like if this is the future, I'm playing the wrong sport. Like just like smooth and powerful.
Yeah.
Sarah Cunningham was like the first really good forehand I ever saw. I remember watching her play when I was at a tournament in South Carolina, and it was like a forehand that didn't come out with a whole bunch of wobble, just like horking it over for distance. Obviously you gotta respect some of the all-time greats. Like I got to play on a card with Ken Climo when I'd been playing like a year and a half, and it was like, yes sir, no sir to everything. I mean, I feel like I could keep going. There's so much to learn from everybody that, it's like I like everybody's game.
Something to learn. I like that. Something to learn from everybody's game. Haley King's a good friend of both Pat and I's, and I got to hang out with her.
Surprise bag check. If you haven't seen it, right up here, click this link. Surprise bag check.
Yeah, she did a fun surprise bag check. I got to hang out with her and her dad for US Women's. They stayed at my place last year. Both amazing people, and I know everybody that I've talked to is excited to watch her in 2019.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, our 6th one: fishing trip or tropical vacation?
I think it would have to be a fishing trip. Like I don't fish, but also like I grew up in Florida and I'm just sick of the beach.
Rare. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Flying. It's either that or stop time. I'd go back and forth between the two, but we'll say flying today.
Half and half.
Yeah. Stop time while flying.
Oh, there you go. Tournaments on the line, which would you rather be facing, a long wooded par 4 or a wide open par 3?
It's a wooded par 4.
I figured as much. Fish sticks or fish fillet?
Somebody told me to say fish fillet on Instagram today, so fish fillet.
Fish fillet. Hope you got your $10. And then my favorite rapid fire question: all the marbles are on the line. Who are you betting on, Macbeth Brothers or Ulibarri Brothers?
Let's see. I know the Yulis are both 1,000 rated.
Mm-hmm.
I got to think that it's got to be them. I mean, I'm not saying John's dead weight, but he's got something to prove in that of that combination.
I've been watching him on Instagram. I think he's underrated. I think his rating's going to jump up quite a bit this year, and I think it'd be a good battle. We got another vote for the Yuli brothers. I'm hoping we'll see that sometime this year. I think we've generated quite a bit of interest, and I know a lot of people would love to see it. So we'll see if that happens. That's all 10.
So what do you think about, say the Sexton brothers? What do those guys do?
I think you could very easily set up a nice 8-player bracket of relatives and draw names out of a hat for who plays who and make it a 3-day tournament or something. I think that would be incredible footage. I think it'd be a lot of fun because you got brothers, sisters, relatives, whoever out there playing some fun doubles against some of their friends.
I'm really disappointed in my sister at the point of this conversation. She just doesn't play.
Oh, you got to get her out there.
All right, shout-outs. That's where we're at right now. So who would you like to, anybody you want to shout out to?
I have a message for a friend in India. That message is booger. This is like a 10-year battle of going back and forth saying that. So here's my platform, and I'm going to use it for all it's worth. That's the silly thing. I'll thank Discraft. Like, Discraft has been super supportive of me for the last year and a half, and I anticipate going forward. I'm looking to have a Tour Series disc come out at some point fairly soon. Keep an eye out for that. I don't know exactly what my design is, but I've got an idea. Yeah. Thanks to everybody who's watching this. I don't know why you want to watch little old me.
They're here for Wes. Everybody's always here for Wes.
Yeah,
Smart.
I think one thing for me that really kind of piqued my interest when you started kind of showing up at some of the majors last year. I was talking to John Perry. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
But he mentioned that you were by far the fastest player to reach 1,000 rating that he's ever seen, and it wasn't even close. And I was like, wow, that's really high praise, because John Perry has been around playing disc golf for a long time and knows a lot of people.
Sneaky one. I think Dickerson was like 1004 his first rating, and then he had a couple ratings below 1,000 before he climbed back up.
So he's right in there.
Yeah, I really like diving into the statistics. Like, it's not something I just like do, but something will occur to me. And I think Dickerson was there. I really like Shane Seal, who's on the Discraft Masters team. He was 1040 for like one update a few years ago because of Southern Nationals. And he used that to sign up like first thing for Ledgestone. There's an amateur Masters player near me who got 1,000 rated through like one league round.
Wow.
And his previous career high was like 937. I just like the statistical oddity of things like that.
Yeah. Crazy. Awesome.
All right.
We got anything else, Pat?
No, I think that we are good, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Make sure that you're commenting below so that you can get entered into the giveaway for that Ringer GT. As always, make sure you subscribe as well by turning on that notification bell, so every time we post a new video, you get reminded that, well, we have a new video. Like it for women's disc golf. Let's see if we can get this guy up to, see if we can get this video up to a couple hundred likes. Maybe we'll throw a secret giveaway in there. Who knows?
Awesome.
All right, and most important thing, Wes?
Make that putt.
Great.
Yep. Don't do what I did at Putting League last night. Make that putt.
Oh!